Oh, I didn't set the 30-second timer. Oh well. Just imagine that little tune at the very start, the dun 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 dun, and then it starts. Okay, so hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Jackrabbit Podcast. Terrible name, I know, but here we are joined with the wonderful, lovely, spiritual Crystal Anne Compton, a channel which has helped me through some very tough times, and I'm just so honored to have her on as a guest. So we got a special stream planned today, and I don't usually do this kind of content on my channel. You know me. I'm behind the camera. I review toys and rant about them at times. But I just thought, people have been encouraging me that YouTube is called YouTube for a reason. It's to be yourself, and I just thought I'm just going to be myself, and I'm going to try something different. So here we are doing something different, and it does actually mention in my YouTube bio I am spiritual. So I thought, why not? It can't be too much harm to have one spiritual video on, can it? So I thought, who better else than to bring on but the lovely Crystal Anne Compton. So we're going to start off with a quick introduction from Crystal, if that's okay with you.
Yes, absolutely. Um, how do I introduce myself? Well, I am a spiritual teacher. Actually, I got my start on YouTube many, many years ago. Quite a bit older than you. And I just started by making videos about things that I was very interested in or things that I had experienced in my spiritual life. And I kind of just got really consistent doing that. I met a lot of great people, built a community, and here I am. And so I currently have an online community of about 10,000 members. This is on Facebook, which is dying. So it's not as active as it used to be. I also have a YouTube channel with about 44,000 subscribers, also dying. YouTube is just kind of a tricky one to get, but it never fails though. Like everyone I've ever met on YouTube has been really, really special and part of my core community. So even though I don't get as many views nowadays on
Mm,
YouTube, I always come back to it because I just know that's where the people are. So I'm a
yeah.
spiritual teacher, and yeah, that's what I do.
So, when you say spiritual teacher, obviously there's a great many ways that that can be interpreted. I know that you do special classes that you set up, and would you say retreats? For those who just need a bit of guidance and counseling.
Yes, I've done all of that. The last retreat I did was pre-COVID, but I had done them for a few years, and that was just a great way to meet people like you in real life and just like take that little barrier away. And that was really, really fun. I hope to do that again. In fact, I'm planning to do a retreat in Curacao in the next year or two. I do teach classes, mainly on the intuitive arts or like how to open your connection to spirit and how to live your spirituality in a more evidential way, meaning like in a dynamic, things are
Mm,
happening, things are shifting, things are moving, you're creating things. This is what I tend to teach about. But I've had classes on everything from angels to aliens to dimensions to being psychic. Yeah, everything I'm interested in, I tend to point that outward and bring other people in through classes.
awesome, awesome. And when you mentioned aliens, I'm just like, oh, brilliant, because we got a lot of sci-fi fans here. We all love
Oh, good.
sci-fi,
I love sci-fi
and
too.
yeah, and it's just like when we think of aliens, I don't think we think of them like with giant heads and big teeth. I think we mean more beings from just another part of the universe, really, that could be similar to us.
Hmm.
Maybe even have their own spirituality as well.
Hmm.
So it's
Yes.
quite crazy to think about it.
Yes. And I've had some interesting encounters with what I would call interdimensionals, not necessarily in the physical, but in the energetic. And yeah, those are fun stories.
Oh god,
I don't
I
know if you
think
want to go there though.
yeah, we'll stay firmly on Earth for this one, but
Okay.
that's really cool. I say, that's the thing. I don't think I've had any encounters yet, other than a couple of dream ones. But
Hmm.
I know that there was that saying you shouldn't dismiss dreams because they can be more real than you think. Or some
100%. Yes.
yeah. Although I find myself like just waking up and being like, I can't remember.
Yeah, you're probably going to want to create some kind of a practice around that or a ritual because you'd be surprised if you start working with your dreams by priming before you go to sleep and then documenting immediately upon waking. You really do set some kind of a machine in motion so that you dream more. You
Mm,
dream vividly and you remember them more. And it just
yeah,
kind of grows from there. But yes, working with your dreams, that's where all of the good stuff actually is. You have to sift through the brain dump aspect, like your brain dumps the details of your previous day, but in
yeah.
there, though, there's often a lot of really good spiritual nuggets for you.
Well, I know that sometimes a lot of my dreams, I never have monster nightmares,
Mhm.
like, 'cause I think it's 'cause I love monsters, like, I'm obsessed, but, my nightmares tend to be people that I know and love hating me or turning on me, and I think that's more of a nightmare than any monster could ever be sort of thing, and I do remember vividly there was a dream where I think I got my family just threw me out or something. It was a bit of a so I think it says a lot about your subconscious and what you think
Oh,
of
yeah.
yourself, doesn't it? And another one I
Yes.
remember, didn't feature aliens, and it was really cool, but I like that one. And, another funny one was, okay, there's a story behind this. So I'd hurt myself. Actually, I think I'd broken my toe, and, I had to go to bed because it was late, so I took some painkillers. Now, what I didn't realize was these were super strong painkillers that if your system isn't used to them, they'll send you on a bit of a funny trip. But because I was asleep, it was just it kind of, manifested as just a really, really real dream where I was this detective, and, oh, it was fun. I just didn't wanna wake up. Like, so I think thank God I went to bed for that one.
Yeah, I
Otherwise
don't know what medication that was, but, I've had some surgeries and things in my life, and I've had some very interesting trips on, like, narcotics especially,
mm,
after surgery where I would wake up, but I wouldn't be fully awake, and I was kind of in that between place. One time I woke up and I could hear all of the conversations happening in my neighborhood as if I was in the room, like, or in one
oh.
room away from everybody else, and I was just listening to everybody talking in my neighborhood. It was wild. I wonder, like, is that a delusion or has something kind of been lifted so that you have access to a different kind of perception? I'm not sure.
God, the Batman could really do with that for the Bat computer. It's just like just listen in. So okay, so here comes the first really big part. Now, ladies first, I believe. So, our spiritual journeys. So, what led you to spirituality in particular? Where did you start from? And yeah, just kind of what led you to the Crystal Anne Compton you are now?
Okay, well, that's a bit of a story, and so I was born in Hawaii, which is a beautiful, magical place, and everything and Native Hawaiians and people from Hawaii kind of tend to believe that there's a spirit in absolutely everything. There's a spirit in the tree, there's a spirit in the rock, and we honor and venerate that spirit. My father was also born and raised in Hawaii, and he was of that mind as well. And so I came into the world to two pretty intuitively connected parents, and so my childhood was very magical for being in Hawaii, but at the same time, I started having interesting experiences when I was very, very little. My first memory isn't of my mom or my dad. It's of talking to these beings that were out on a banyan tree outside of my bedroom. And every day I would go in there and I would sit in a sunbeam and we would have these long conversations. I was probably 3. I was really young, but we'd have these long conversations. They were absolutely telepathic, which felt very normal to me. And this relationship went on for quite some time. I told my parents, "Hey, I'm, talking to these beings." And the interesting thing was that neither my mother nor my father ever disabused me of it, like never said, "Oh, that's crazy," or "That's
Mm,
just your imagination." It's because they were intuitive that they were able to support me and kind of give me some context with which to navigate the spirit realm. But the opposite side of that was that my father was incredibly, incredibly toxic, substance abuser, physically abusive to my mother, and out of control. My father was unhinged. And it's interesting to me, and I only mention this because I think kids who come from trauma like that, and even not as bad as that, we develop kind of a sixth sense. Like I knew what kind of mood my father was going to be in hours before he ever got there. I had a sense of what was going to happen that night. And I think the toxic atmosphere that I grew up in also lent to my intuitive development. But because it was so crazy and awful, I think it was around 12 or 13, a friend at school said, "Hey, why don't you come to church with me?" And I went to church, and it was a Pentecostal church, which these are your holy rollers and your snake wranglers, and these are the people who are getting slain in the spirit. It's a very psychic church, but I just I fell in love with it because in the church there was this idea that there was a father who loved you and
Mm,
wanted to protect you and give you a good life, and that was the message I needed most of all at the time. So my father, who was very deeply into Hawaiiana, and again, the spirit of Hawaii, was just scandalized that I converted into an evangelical Christian. And he was almost ashamed of me for doing that. Um, but and maybe I did it a little bit because I knew it bothered him, but I ended up in Christianity for over a decade. I was a missionary, I was a preacher, I was a singer, I was a teacher. That has always been kind of part of my framework. Ultimately, though, things changed for me. Something happened in the church, and I ended up seeing it for kind of what it was.
mm,
And I made the decision, this isn't for me anymore. It's not that it wasn't helpful for a time, but it's no longer helpful. And then I kind of set out on my own. And my impulse at the time was to kind of go back to that little 3-year-old girl sitting in a sunbeam talking to tree people. Like, what was that about? Because there was so much time now that had passed, and I really I didn't remember how easy it was to be in that magical space, and I wanted to remember, and I wanted to get back there.
it's
So
so
that's when I
funny.
started
Sorry.
studying, and that's okay. That's when I started studying, like Edgar Cayce and other teachers, and I started in a very fearful way, just dipping my toe in metaphysics. I was afraid because in my church, everything had a demon in it. Everything was like satanic. So
Yeah,
I thought my leaving was maybe satanic. And so I was dealing with the fear of that while also trying to be courageous enough to read Edgar Cayce and learn about spirituality. And that is what set me on the course that ultimately led me here.
yeah.
So that's a little bit long, but that's how it
Well,
happened.
no, actually, I think I went through similar things because when I got into it, I kind of, even though it was a short time, I longed so much to go back to my kind of free childhood. When I was just creatively free, where I didn't have to insert Jesus into everything, otherwise it would be satanic. All these kind of things that the internet preachers would kind of fill through with your mind full of. And, yeah, that was kind of why I wanted to leave because I wanted to get back to being me,
Mhm.
because I just thought, well, then if you're not you, then what's the point? You're just a mindless drone like all the others. I mean, surely a God who makes you as an individual wants you to be an individual. Like, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what made me leave. And I think I mean, I'll tell my journey now. I hope it doesn't depress too many people. But I always felt misunderstood ever since I was a child. And I've been open on this channel. I am on the autistic spectrum, which I didn't find out till I was 16. So went through the whole of school, didn't really have any support, but all I knew is that I was good at drawing. In fact, that was seemed to be the only thing that I'd ever really get any praise for. So, you know, hence why I'm an independent illustrator now. But yeah, I went through primary school and I went through high school. Uh, got bullied a bit, but always kind of kept my creativity. It always kind of got me through, and I had so many dreams of things I wanted to do, like game design, make movies, because of course, when you're a child, you think it's easy. So you're just doing everything. But then as I got towards the end of high school, I started to feel very kind of like I just everything had gone wrong. And you only get one childhood, and it's like now that's gone, that's messed up, and I just didn't want to be. I know it sounds bad, but I just didn't want to be here anymore. So I thought, now hang on a minute, I'm raised Catholic, I don't know much about the Silver City or whatever you want to call it, but I just wanted to make sure that they'd let me in because I know I'd done some bad things at the time. So I researched and I stupidly used the internet. Now, my generation's definition of research isn't reading a book; it's typing something into YouTube. So, I think you can guess what happened there. Um, I found a local church and I went to that, and I connected at first. I thought they're nice people, they're fun. But then I started to see a lot of problems, and just it's funny, when I started to read the Bible, that's what pushed me away. The thing that's supposed to keep you is what pushed me away, and it's mostly because of the intolerance of homosexuality, actually. I think that was one of the big reasons, and, but not the main reason, but one of the big ones. I was just like, it annoyed me. It always annoyed me, the kind of view on it. And I ended up leaving the church, and I kept researching, and through a couple of YouTubers and a couple of people, I've discovered a new kind of Christianity, Universalist Christianity.
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
heard of that?
I was a Unitarian Universalist for a few years, yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of my midway point. It was like, it's nice to know that, God wasn't going to burn everyone in hell. So,
Right.
that kind of was very appealing to me. But then gradually, through discovering your channel and a couple of other people, I was like, now this is interesting, because I think it was your video, There Is No Hell, and
Mhm.
Why I Don't Believe in Your God. Those were the two videos that kind of brought me to your channel. And I was like, wow. And ever since then, I've been a loyal subscriber. Now, I am just going to um, put my hand up right now and say, I don't have a clue about all the metaphysics and the spiritual stuff and the crystals, and I have no idea. And I don't want you to mistake me as someone who, sits on a mat and meditates and who has achieved a certain level of chakra, because I haven't. I'm just as clueless about this. But some of your words, Crystal, they really spoke to me, and they still speak to me today. Like that lovely post you put on Instagram of Jesus saying, "I didn't come to teach you, I came to love you." And
Mhm.
I'm like, my God, yeah, and that's what speaks to me. And I suppose I'm at a point in my life now where I'm almost um sort of agnostic. I just don't really have a clue anymore, which is a shame, but I'm kind of just lost at the moment. And I just wish I could have these experiences for myself, because it sounds incredible, the experiences you've had, but I always go off what other people say on the internet instead of having my own experiences. I think that's always been my biggest problem. But to tell you the truth, I haven't really had that many. So,
Do you
you know,
meditate?
I do my best. Mostly my form of meditation is just listening to some heavy metal, getting a bit upset in the process.
Right. I mean, there's a certain frequency to that
Yeah,
music. Hello, my husband loves heavy metal, death metal, all the metal.
yeah.
He will listen to it. But there's a certain frequency to that, and you're taking in that energy,
Mm,
and that's changing how you feel, changing how you are. And so, yeah, meditation where it's just quiet and just still is the kind of meditation that we should strive for. This is difficult though, because obviously we've got our mind going and it's
mm,
uncomfortable. And in the beginning, when you start to meditate, it does feel laborious because you're just acknowledging thoughts, releasing thoughts. It feels like a lot of management happening, but there does come a time, if you stick with it, when those things just start to fall away and this space opens up that's really sweet and really beautiful. And that's kind of where you want to be. Even if you're just there for a minute,
mm,
it's the thing that starts to transform you and also call in, to me, I believe this is what calls in the experiences that you're kind of talking about. But you kind of have to put in the time to start to shift things. And I will say, let me say about meditation, that if you spend 29 minutes out of 30 struggling in your meditation and only get 1 minute in the sweet spot, those 29 minutes still count. There's still intentionality in those 29 minutes. You're still
mm,
putting yourself in the space and making yourself available, and spirit is always going to honor that. But I only say this because I feel like that's probably the best place to start, to begin to open up to what is available out there. And I also want to say that um, I think what's coming through your dreams, this idea of being lost, and what's coming through and how you feel yourself to be. This is like what I've really been talking about lately on my channel because I think this is it. It's everything. Is how you feel yourself to be, is how you experience the world, the physical world, and also the spiritual world. And
Mm,
so if we feel ourselves to be off center or lost, or we have issues that we know we have to deal with, but we're not dealing with them, that is what we're going to be experiencing in the bigger picture. And so for me, coming from like such radical trauma, like I'm not even going to start to talk about it because it's triggering, but like deeply radical trauma, I have had to spend decades of my life dealing with that, noticing when I'm reacting because of that, and then doing the work, although I don't like that word, but putting in the effort to heal that, you know? So it's and I think I'm gonna be doing this for the rest of my life. It doesn't sound fun, but it's really beneficial because when you
mm,
start clearing some of this patterning in you and your beliefs about yourself, the limiting beliefs of self that you carry around, the limiting beliefs of others as well, when you start to clear these, you literally open up space in yourself. And that's the space spirit needs to kind of get in and start animating in your life in a different way.
yeah.
So I just want to offer that to you because you strike me as honestly such a beautiful, beautiful soul, and I think your art is enchanting. I feel like you've got so many gifts and talents. And the thing that we kind of go back and forth on in the comment section of the video is just you feeling yourself to be that way. And it's not that I'm singling you out. I think this is everybody, especially right now on our planet. Like people really are having a hard time identifying who it is they really are because of things like social media,
Yeah.
you know, things that we're watching on the television. It's taking over our sense of self.
With me, and I'm a bit ashamed to say this, but there's a comfort in hating yourself. And I also feel like religion doesn't help with the
Mhm.
whole kind of like, you are filthy, you are sinful, you're this, you're that. And I think, that really stuck with me because I have some inner demons that I'm dealing with. My closest friend who's in the comments there, problem being, he knows I've got a lot of inner demons that I'm dealing with. And I think they make me feel like a monster, and that feels right. It feels right, and like you say, spirit, which is God, for those of you who don't know, it's just a term. Spirit wants to, kinda tell you the truth, like, "Hey, I'm on your side, I'm with you," and all that, but it's almost like the belief about it pushes it away, doesn't it? And it kinda blocks it out, the negative belief, and kind of
Mhm.
traps us in this bubble of negativity to the point where you feel like there isn't anything out there. There's nothing out there. There's no meaning to everything. There's nihilism, which seems to be what my generation is embracing. Just this kind of nothingness. There's no meaning. There's nothing. So let's just do whatever we want, and you know. But really, we're all just miserable. Like
Right.
deep down, not all of us. I'm not trying to speak for everyone, but I
No.
just
Yeah,
from what
yes,
I've seen a lot.
and I think that, your generation is the generation that has come up with the tech, and it's been a part of your life probably your whole life. And I'm Generation X. I came up before the internet. I came up like when we had to go get up and turn our TV with a dial, like it was a totally different experience. And so I think there's probably more of a difficulty to separate yourself from the projection of the tech, which
Yeah,
is social media, which is all the programming and propaganda that is constantly, constantly being signaled to us all over the place. Because it's such an innate part of your generation, it's hard to find yourself in the midst of that. Neville Goddard, who I love, and I know you know that about me, but Neville Goddard talked about going on an information diet and like slowly but surely just turning down the dials of
mm,
all these things that we're taking in every day so that we can start to get into the space of who it is that we really are. I truly feel that it's only when we experience ourselves inside, kingdom of heaven is inside you, right?
yeah,
That we start to make the path forward. But I feel like that's why your generation incarnated. I think it's also why my generation incarnated. I think we all came here for this particular time, this crazy prison planet. When's the alien invasion going to happen? Like it's so off the charts crazy here. And I feel like as souls, this is what we wanted. We're like, put me in the game because I'm going to get there. I'm going to open up to my own potential. And then I'm going to start shifting things And
Mhm.
that's, I think, the challenge of your generation. But we were talking before we even got on, like your generation is a very artistic, creative generation. And I think it's that creativity, that creator pulse, impulse inside of you that's going to lead you through this and help us all, really.
Yeah. Do you have any advice actually, when you've got, like, when you're a creative person and you just feel like you're going through burnout and you're wondering, "Is this what I want to do? What else can I do?" I mean, I know it sounds silly, but I've got this idea for a story, and I've actually based one of the characters off you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Her name's Rose, and she's the spiritual rabbit of the group, and she has this very love everyone regardless of who they are, what they've done kind of attitude. And yeah, she loves wearing crystals and things, and I'm just like, "Yep, that's Crystal."
That's beautiful. Thank you. I'm super touched hearing that.
I'll see if I can send you a photo of some of the drawings I've done later on, but, yeah, no, and I've had this great story planned, and I wanted to, it came from a time when I just wanted to make stuff, before all the politics, before all the, dare I say it, growing up, which is pretty much forced on us now because
Mhm.
we've got all this information. It's impossible to be innocent in this generation because you've just got all this information at your fingertips, and you wonder why 9-year-olds are saying terms which they shouldn't even know. And I was quite blessed in the sense that my parents kept me off social media. I didn't have Facebook till I was 15.
Wow.
So that was one blessing I had. I think they definitely made the right decision there. They couldn't quite keep me off games consoles for that long, but,
Mhm.
so many wasted years. But, you know, no, going outside and doing stuff was great, but unfortunately, the person that I went out to have fun with, turned out to be one of my biggest abusers. So
Mm.
that made my childhood not very good. But I don't regret a lot of those memories. Like I say, it's interesting because even though I had a lot of problems in my childhood, I would still, I'd give anything to be that again, despite all the problems, because it seemed as though when you're a child, those problems don't stick. They
Mhm.
come, they go, new day, new dawn, let's go. Adult, stick, next day's miserable, day after that's miserable because of it, day after that's miserable because of it. It's just an endless, you're so stuck. Like, and that's just been my experience. It's like you're trying to clean something that's white and stains really easily. It's just you can't get rid of it. Sorry,
Well,
have
I
I
have
just
to
ruined
no,
your
no,
whole day?
no, 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 I'm hearing what you're saying. I have to say that, my primary focus in my life is spirituality and my connection and like how to cultivate that. I'll
Mm,
say that the more spiritual I get, the less less I actually know, right? The more you immerse yourself in the energy of that, the source or God, whatever you want to call it, like the less you can really articulate things. Um, so I hear what you're saying, but even as spiritually inclined as I am, I wake up and I have days like that. I wake up and I have to contend with what's before me and the
mm,
things that I didn't resolve the day before. I think that that's just part of the human experience, and I've come to accept it. And what I've done is create practices that help me just kind of shift out of the vibration of that to the best of my ability. I don't always succeed at it, but like maybe I go outside, maybe I stand in that sunbeam, maybe I take off my shoes and I feel the grass, go touch grass kind of a thing. Get out
mhm.
there, touch the grass. Maybe it's a prayer, maybe it's an affirmation, maybe it's some body movement, but I just put into place things that I can do that just make me feel better in the moment to kind of reset that day. But it is the construct of the reality that we live in, and I'm not going to get crazy about dimensions and stuff, but it is just part of this infrastructure, this dimensional infrastructure that we're
Mm.
going to have to deal with this stuff. But you started off by talking about creativity and this beautiful story that you're writing.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bit lost.
No, that's okay. Because what I want to say is that it's really not for people who are creative, it's really not about, is anybody going to see it? Is anybody going to buy it? What's the ultimate form that it's going to take? It is about the process of creating, like immersing yourself in the beauty of the story and writing it and painting it or drawing it or whatever it is that you do. That creative process, to me, mimics the creative process of creator. And when we're creating, I feel like we're channeling. I feel like we are in the energy of God.
Yeah.
And by being in the energy of God, that allows God to change us. So I hear from so many people saying, yeah, well, I'd love to make jewelry, but I suck at it. Or I love to sing, but I don't have a great voice. And so I don't. And my thing is sing, make time to sing, make that your spiritual meditative practice where you sing or you draw or you
Yeah.
paint or you write, because it's about the closeness and the proximity to spirit that you can achieve. And that's what ultimately opens doors and changes that mood that we're talking about. Does
Well,
that make
it's
sense?
yeah, it's interesting because we've had some in the chat saying what helped them through meditation. Some say music, some say model making, and it's like that's
Mhm.
so cool. You know, PD, your model making, it's incredible. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I've gotten to a place with my art where it's kind of I feel like I have to do it instead of wanting to do it because when money comes into the equation, it's like I have to make something that's sellable. I have
Right.
to but I'm worried, I'm afraid. I'm like, what would happen if I stopped and I really just thought, "What do I wanna do?" I have absolutely no idea, and that frightens me because I don't wanna be not that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't wanna be in a cafe or in the shop for the rest of my life. I wanna be creative. I want to make something. I want something that people will remember Jack Maine for, and I want to look at something that's come from my head and see it on the big screen. That's my dream, but I have no clue whatsoever on how to make a film or I'm not very good with computers to tell you the truth.
Well, I honestly think that you don't need to have all of the details of the how. It's just acting on the why, like why you want to do it because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel creative. It makes you feel like you're producing something of value in the world, whether anybody ever buys it or not.
Mm,
That is the reason you should do it. But further, I would say, and then especially in terms of like manifestation, right? We talk a lot about law of attraction and things like that. I won't get crazy, but when you are doing what you came here to do as a soul, like when you find what that is and you know it because it feels really good, and also you can get lost in time. So, like if you find yourself writing or creating or painting, and the next thing you know, 5 hours have gone by and you didn't even eat, you didn't go to the bathroom, that's an indication that that thing for you is your thing or it's connected to your thing. When you find what that is and then you do it, in my experience, the universe then kind of lifts up to start opening doors for you. You start meeting different people, you start getting different resources, and things kind of magnetically happen. But I do think
yeah,
it's the creativity doing the thing that enables all of that. So
yeah.
don't stop whatever it is just because nobody's seen it or nobody will see it. In fact, do it so that people will.
Well, I'm really glad you've said that because it must be my drawing then because it's funny, all of a sudden I had all of these opportunities come out of nowhere. And I've got someone who potentially wants to put my cards on shelves at shops, so it must
Wow.
be. But I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know if it could just be my anxiety, like that voice that's saying, "Oh, is this what you want to do? You don't know what you want to do because you're not that great at it." And it's just all that. And when you listen to that for too long, you kind of get
Yeah.
lost. But I suppose since I've been drawing since about 3 years old, so I can't really have much more of a sign as to what I'm here to do.
Mhm.
But I suppose maybe I'm just scared about coming out of my, a shell and just really trying something that I haven't tried before. I'm always playing it safe, like you say, I should try different things, and yeah, maybe that's it. Sorry, I'm totally going off topic here, but
No, that's
yeah,
good. I think you should. I think the key is to like have fun. Like, is it exciting? There's a channel, his name is Bashar, and he says, always follow your highest excitement. Like, maybe this one thing is kind of exciting. Yeah, that'd be cool. But, like, what's your very highest excitement? Even if it's silly, even if it doesn't make sense, follow that because that's an energy we're talking about. And that's the thing that's going to take you to the next thing, the breadcrumbs, as
mhm.
Joseph Campbell talked about. I love Joseph Campbell. He said, "Follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. That's all you have to do. You don't have to worry about anything else because if you're following your bliss, everything happens the way it's supposed to."
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what I kind of like about spirituality. It's not necessarily all about worshipping or all that. It's about you as an individual, and
Yeah.
I like what you're pushing here. I think it's something that a lot of people can get behind on really, and Yeah, so hold on, I'm just having to get the list out of what we're talking about
Oh,
so we don't fall too far
no
off
problem.
topic.
But, I do while you're looking at that, I do wanna say that it's interesting because I spent so many years in Christianity,
Mm,
and, I mean, there wasn't a scripture I didn't know how to recite, you
yeah,
know? But all these years later, I've kinda come back full circle. I would not say I'm a Christian. I certainly do not subscribe to organized religion at all, but there are some things for me that are eternal about what I learned, about
yeah,
Jesus and some of the scriptures that I just still share to this day that they have like a different meaning, a mystical meaning. And I think that you don't have to walk away from religion. I think religion helps people at different stages of their lives. I think
absolutely.
it's a kind of a scaffolding that holds you up so
And
you
I
can
just
continue
wanna
to go.
say I'm not trying to be sacrilegious, so anyone watching, if you're
You haven't
religious,
been.
that's fine, and I had to apologize to someone at work actually because sh out of nowhere, she said she was Christian, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit of an ass, because I think it upset something in me. It's like, "Oh god, that's taking me back, it's taking me back." But no, it's kinda like, look, love people for who they are, not what they believe, sort of thing, and I didn't want it to get between our friendship once I'd gone away and calmed down a bit of like, "Ah, let's just not talk about it. Let's just keep liking each other." That never happened, never heard that, you know?
Mm.
And it's like, I am a bit ashamed of myself for that.
No, well, I mean, you just learn from it, and there was a time when I left the church, I was so mad at every Christian, and especially
Yeah.
over the homosexual thing. Like, that never made any sense to me. And then, of course, I had a gay daughter, and I ended up marrying her to her wife a few years ago. So, like,
Mm,
um, there are so many things that are, that don't make any sense in the Bible, but there are some things that are still eternal that I hold
yeah.
fast to, and I think but that's the thing about spirituality, I think it is based on your relationship with spirit. It's about you and God. There's that scripture I'm always talking about where God says, "Come, let us reason together, you and
Yeah.
me, not you and a pastor and me, or you and a church and me, just you and me, and let's figure out for ourselves what that relationship looks like."
I
So
do
I think
miss
all
one
Christianity.
thing that is
Mhm,
one thing I do miss about the system is it's kind of a bit more easier to focus on, kinda like what God looks like or what certain
mhm.
stories you're reading. With
Right.
spirituality, it's a bit of a wilderness. It's like, well, what is true? I mean, all this stuff
Uh-huh.
about interdimensional aliens, what is God? Is he everything? Are we all God? Is there a million billion galaxies? It's like, well,
Yeah.
brain about to explode. It's like, at least with religion, you can follow it to a certain extent. But
Right, and it
despite all the problems, I still do like the Nativity, I do like The
mhm.
Prodigal Son, that's one of my favorites,
Me too, yeah.
and, yeah, I do funnily enough, I still love, some Christian films,
Mhm.
um, like I say, I know it's weird, I just like them, I guess since I just watched them as a kid, because grew up Catholic, so exposed to these kind of films. In fact, me and my friend Problem Being, we watched Prince of Egypt, I don't know if you've seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I know what it is.
Moses and Ramses. It's a great animation, you should definitely watch it, but yeah, that was a great film. So it's just, it's not like I'm hating on the whole thing, it's
Of
just
course not.
I suppose
It's
it was just my experience and it's different for everybody, isn't it?
yes, it is, and I think that that's what people need to hear, like, it's your experience, so go make of it what you will.
Yeah, so, okay, so we're gonna get on, before we diverge too much, we're gonna get on to something a bit more fun, if that's okay with you, Crystal, and
Sure.
since my channel is very geeky,
Okay.
let's go there. So, Crystal, what kind of, sci-fi do you love? And, just yeah, I know you say you and your husband are massive horror fans, so come on, let's talk about that.
I will say about horror, I'm getting more and more of like becoming a baby as I get older. I'm like, it's harder for me, especially if it's like gore. I'm like, I
Yeah.
like paranormal stuff. I like ghosties, but some of the other stuff I have a harder time with. I love science fiction. I love it. I will take anything. I think I've seen it all. My favorite movie of all time is 2001: A Space Odyssey, even though the first half of that was just you know, but the
Yeah.
second half is so awesome.
Mm.
But my favorite sci-fi movie is probably Sunshine. Probably Sunshine.
I've never
Um,
seen a lot of these, so I'm very, very ashamed.
Pardon me, what?
I've never seen a lot of them, so I'm very ashamed.
Oh, you should see Sunshine. It's
I
very
know.
good. It's really good. Yeah,
Um,
I love I'm desperate for it. Like, why don't they make more science fiction movies? because I think people really want them. Is it difficult? You know
Yeah.
what I wanna see too in a science fiction movie? I wanna see, like, yes, we're g you know, we're in the process, we're in the ship, we're going into a dimension, but then, like, what's on the other side? There's
I
not enough
know.
movies that tell me what's on the other side.
I know. They never do. It's always like it's just a black hole that destroys everything. It's like, come on, use some creativity. I think it's because they're too busy trying to force politics and agenda that they're just creatively bankrupt now.
Oh gosh, now?
They can't come up with anything. I need to ask you, Crystal, because I know it was big in some parts of America before it completely went the political route and died. But are you or your husband a fan of Doctor Who?
I am not. My husband is not. I think he's familiar with, but I
Okay,
haven't really like, one of my best friends is just insane about it and always
all
talking to me
right,
about it, and I've never tried to get into it, and that I
okay,
missed the window, I think, and now
yeah.
it's just like you've got a bazillion
Well,
Doctor Whos, I don't know what's going on.
it's okay. Stop after the 12th. Don't go any further.
Okay, stop after the
'Cause
12th, okay.
yeah, but, no, I'd recommend you watch, the 2005 reboot and watch the first 2. One of them is short hairs and the other one you've probably heard his name because he's so popular, David Tennant.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah. Watch him, and if you like it, then go back and try some of the older ones. Tom Baker, you'll have heard of, he's like a pop culture icon. The Hat and the Long Scarf. Oh, no. It's alright, yeah,
I
don't
can learn. But,
it's
like,
alright.
for me, there's such a distinct difference between sci-fi and fantasy. Like, I
Mm,
am not huge into fantasy, strangely. I really like sci-fi.
yeah.
And all of these DC, Marvel, I cannot stand superhero
Neither can
movies.
I.
They're so
Yeah,
tropey and formulaic, and they're just
yeah.
the worst. Like, everyone in my family can't wait to go see the new whatever, and I'm just like, "Oh god, miss me with that. I cannot deal with it." It's the same thing every time. They're not making movies anymore.
I know. I did love the first Iron Man, though. I thought that was
That
great.
was good. I do recall liking that. I mean, but
And,
it's a bit much. And then are you gonna go see Avatar?
I want to because I know everyone's saying I went to see the first one again because it came back in cinemas and I enjoyed it. And but of course everyone's a critic now, so they're all saying, "Oh, there's not that much of a story there. It's just all the CGI." I'm like, "Don't ruin my childhood, please." So I went back to see it and it was a great experience, just seeing it on the big screen. And I want the second one to be good, so I'm gonna give it a chance, even though
Well,
everyone's saying you're wasting your time.
keep hope alive. I
Yeah.
mean, I saw the first one and I thought, "Ugh, it's always gotta be some general in a helicopter trying to take out
Yeah.
the indigenous people and their
With a
beautiful
Texas
tree."
accent.
I'm just mad the whole time. I was like, "This wasn't fun for me." It was beautiful, but not fun. But, see, that's fantasy that
Yeah.
I have a harder time kinda getting into that. Now, did you see Barbarian? This is a horror movie. Have you heard of it?
It rings a bell. I don't think I've
Listen,
seen it.
that movie is freaking weird, my guy. Like, that movie, it's a horror movie, and it's it's got a definite, twist to it. I find it genuinely unsettling, and
Mm,
just bizarre. So if you watch that, you're gonna have to tell me what you think about that.
here's a great one. Have you seen The Evil Dead? Okay.
My husband has a bazillion times. It's a zombie movie, right?
No. Well, they're demons that possess dead
Oh,
humans, and
okay.
there's a book called the Necronomicon,
Yeah.
and because you're spiritual, I thought you'd have liked it. It's like it's very cool. It's all about portals and how these
No, I
demons keep
haven't.
coming in, and it's with oh, his name escapes me right now. Uh, who plays Ash Williams? Can someone let me know in the comments who plays Ash? Uh, God.
My husband brings this movie up to me from time to time,
Mm.
and is it from the 90s or the 80s?
From the original, I think was actually 1978, and then
Okay.
but mostly from the 80s. They spanned over quite some years. There were 3 films, but they've done a TV show which I'm in the middle of. Bruce Campbell, that's it. Which I'm in the middle of watching, and I'm loving it. Thankfully, because I have Netflix now. But it's gore, but it's so comedic and over the top. You can't take it seriously. And the guy who made them was. Did you see the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films?
Yes.
Yes, the best ones, hands down.
Mhm.
And he directed those as well. So,
Oh,
you can
okay.
kind of see that kind of, yeah, the humor and everything. It's all that. I think you'll really like them, Crystal. The
Okay.
first one is not comedic. It's actually very scary. It's
Okay.
but the effects are a bit shoddy, but it was completely independent, no Hollywood, very cheap budget, and he made it when he was like 18 or 19.
Oh,
It's just
wow.
quite impressive.
That's quite a feat, yes.
And
So, I
you
have,
know,
like, a barrier with, like, 80s movies for some reason,
oh yeah,
because it's so many of them just don't age well, and I just can't, like RoboCop, I can't watch Predator is still good.
oh yeah,
Like, there are
that's
some that are still Aliens, still good. Alien, which was, I think, 79, still good,
yeah,
but I have a hard time. I tried to watch Lady Hawk. Did you ever see that movie?
no.
Hun, somebody told me to watch it, and it's the best movie. I watched it, and it was just, like, the most ridiculous thing. So, yeah, I have a little bit of a difficulty if it's a super old movie from the '80s. Like, '70s are better, '60s are better, but the '80s typically sucked. That's just my take, and I'm sticking to it. Did you see The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke? Has anybody
No,
seen that?
I'm sorry.
Let me tell you something.
I'm gonna watch this back and make a list and just watch all of these films that you're
You have
saying.
to watch that movie. It was so good. Is it on it's on Peacock if you have the app. I think you can get it on Peacock, but it's a really well done movie
Mm.
about a serial killer and also has paranormal elements,
I'm
like
gonna
some
say
ghosties.
I always struggle with crime dramas and prison stuff because I personally, this is gonna sound really pretentious, but I personally one of my characters in my story has actually been to prison, and her whole kind of arc is about the sort of unconditional love. It doesn't matter what you've done, you're still my sis. I love you so much, and I just feel bad for people in prison. I don't know why. Unless they're politicians, then I'm just like, no, don't care. It's like there is some evil where it's like, yeah, you're just evil. Like, but for most
Yeah,
people, I just feel like it's too harsh. Like
I
for
agree. I
me,
don't watch prison movies for that reason
yeah,
because it's
I
too brutal.
struggle. I struggle.
But this movie, is really, really good.
Mm,
There are some moments in it where there's, like, bullying, they're bullying a kid, and I felt like that. I'm very feel very attacked. I felt very triggered by that because it was
yeah,
very,
personal.
realistic.
Yeah.
So, that you might be a little triggered by that, but it is such a freaking good movie, and I
Mm.
just recommend it to anybody who likes horror and just smart psychological thrillers. I loved it.
Well, the reason why I love the Maguire Spider-Man trilogy is because he is the bullied kid. He's the geek, the nerd, and he pulls all
Yeah.
them funny faces. Like that is me. It's like he's so unaware, and he goes on to be a hero. And I think the message there is, it doesn't matter who you are. You
Yes.
know, you can be the best you can be. And you don't get films like that anymore. They always pick someone really sexy, really strong. And, it's like women aren't the only ones who are objectified. Have you seen men from the 80s films? They got muscles the size of bloody
Yeah,
boulders.
of
And it's
course.
like, and I'm sat there like, well, I'm not an alpha male then. I'm not going to be able to pick her up with one arm and have a bloody M60 machine gun in the other arm and go, come on, baby, let's go. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't think that's very physically attractive personally, so, I mean, but, like, yeah, but that was the stereotype and the trope back in the '80s, like Top Gun, the volleyball
Mm.
scene, greased
Oh,
up
I just
dudes,
watched
and it's
that
just like
recently, Top Gun: Maverick,
yeah,
with
I've
with
seen
my
that. I
mom.
saw that
I
in,
watched I watched both of them because I
the
hadn't seen
IMAX.
the original, and I was surprised how similar they were. Like, they kept the vibe of the original film with the new one, so, yeah, really good.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Like, my husband was in the Air Force, which I know this is Navy, but, so he likes jets and things like that. And, I thought it was a fun movie. You know what I liked about it? There was no, like, political agenda.
No,
It was
just a
just, like,
film.
a straightforward, fun movie that you could go and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah,
I think we need way more of those. I don't know
that's what
why
I'm looking
they keep
for.
making movies that people just don't wanna see, but they keep doing it. So, there you
Well,
are.
in our country, Crystal, we're forced to pay for television, so they can keep doing it, and it doesn't matter because they're gonna keep getting our money. Yep.
No
That's how bad.
comment. That sounds terrible. I mean, I guess we pay for television, we pay for cable, we pay for our things, but you're talking about, like, the monthly BBC something or other?
Yeah, the
You guys have to
license
pay for
fee.
that?
You can
Hun.
choose not to, which I'm going to when I move out because I don't watch anything on the BBC anyway. But then they'll come and harass you. Like, they'll actually send bullies to your door and like they bully old people, they threaten them and everything. It's
What in the
disgusting.
world?
Like, yep,
Come
this is
on.
true. But
Wow.
it's where I
That
live.
sounds terrible. Sorry about that.
That's
It
right.
sounds terrible.
But yeah, we'll just have to see how that plays out. But that's
Well, I
why I
guess, yeah, I
say,
mean, if you're taxing people and it's a mandatory tax, yeah, you can continue to fund all the crappy television and movies that you want to and push forward your weird agenda.
yeah, I'm just so glad that you we're on the same page, because that was one thing I was really worried about. Is like, because I thought maybe you might be more, and I don't want to bring politics onto streams. I never do. But this whole agenda thing, it's just ruining entertainment. So I'm so happy we found a common ground there. So guys, if any of you have huge respect for Crystal, now it's just doubled. So go support her, please, because she is officially a part of the let's get this crap out of our entertainment.
Well, it's really, I think it's just about making good content. Like, it's
Yeah.
just about having an original thought, like something new, like a good idea. Like, what
Mm,
happened? Where did we lose our way that we don't have? Well, I do think there are people trying to make good content.
mm,
I just think you're finding it less and less out of Hollywood and kind
yeah.
of these big
Well,
mega
a show that
corporations.
everyone's going on about, and I've just finished watching with my friend, is Squid Game.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that was brilliant. As far as I
Right?
could tell, no agenda at all, and just
Mhm.
it has you on the edge of your seat, doesn't it?
Yes, that was when I was like, I had to watch like this. I was just like, violence is kind of, it's as I'm getting older, it's the violence that gets to me.
Mm.
And it was just like, I was so anxious, but it was again an original idea, and it was so good. And I guess they're making a second one too, right? He comes back.
Yes, I think so,
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. So we're at the phase I missed this, is where we'd all sit down and be like, "Oh, what's gonna happen next?" We start coming up with all these fan fit theories and all that, and that's the best part. I just hopefully that they live up to it, because it's such a shame when they don't, and it's like, "Oh, we just spent all that time theorizing, and then that's what
right.
we get." Just like when
Yeah,
that's how you must have felt when Alien 3 came out.
yeah, yeah. I left the franchise at that point. I came back
Yeah.
during Prometheus, and what was the one
Mm.
after that? Was it uh, Resurrection? But
No,
what the
Alien Covenant, the worst
Covenant?
film ever
Thank you. It
made.
was Covenant, which I quite liked that very
Oh,
much.
okay, okay. There we
I
go.
liked it personally. But I
That's
mean,
alright.
I'm like so desperate for sci-fi
Yeah.
that I'm gonna like it probably unless you really screw it up.
I hated that they killed off the main character from Prometheus, because I actually really liked her,
Me too. They didn't
and they
really tie
just
that
did
up
it off
well.
screen. Like, how dare you own this android
Yeah.
character that no one cares about because he's just weird, and it's
Well, I
just
mean,
like,
he's interesting. He's kind of interesting, like how he was created to be.
I
But
know.
and it was interesting to have his new counterpoint, like
That's
him.
another
But
thing that gets to me, is the idea of a machine having a soul. Oh, it makes me I like to think that, well, in a spiritual sense, we come from God or spirit or whatever you think, but this idea that a robot could have a soul, it's
well,
just,
I
it's
mean, aren't we
weird.
robots though? We're just avatars. We're
I
just
mean, I
souls
suppose.
inhabiting like
I
bio.
suppose. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like yeah, that's I think that's just an interesting topic that's reflective of what we're trying to deal with as we
Mm.
begin to create some of these robots slash beings. Like the whole idea of transhumanism. Do you know what this is?
It frightens me. I
Well,
don't think it's
my
a good
brother
thing.
was here. He's an evangelical Christian, and
Mm.
he was like, "So, what do you think about that?" We were talking about AI, and I'm like, "Well, I think it sounds unholy. I think that sounds terrible. Like I'm going to upload my consciousness to a cloud.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, is
like,
that a copy? Am I there? I mean,
well,
that just
the
sounds
thing is, I
very
don't
odd."
want my heaven to be a continuous loading screen, or Windows has stopped working, because that
Right.
that wouldn't be heaven to me. I wanna go where I'm supposed to go, not be trapped in some compute It's like that film, I can't remember, someone gets uploaded to a computer, and
Mhm.
the film, they go inside the computer, and you can just hear them like, "Help me,
Okay, that
help
sounds
me."
familiar. What is that?
And it's like they're actually inside it, and they're like, "Oh my god," and they're trying to rescue their friend who's been uploaded, and that's what
Yeah,
people just keep getting uploaded to it, and they become trapped in there. It's like hell. And that's the whole kind of warning against transhumanism. It's like you think, "Oh, it's this good thing, we're gonna live forever in a cloud," but it turns out to be hell, because they're stuck, forever
right.
in there. And these people go in to try and de-download them back into their bodies while they still can, before the body dies too much.
Well, who manages the infrastructure for the transhumanists or the
Well, exactly.
transhuman
Would you
conscious?
feel
It's gonna be
comfortable if it was
humans.
Mark Zuckerberg? It's like,
Seeing
no,
how
I
we're
would.
messing it up now, I'm, like, not really gonna trust my entire eternal consciousness to a bunch of humans who are
No,
probably gonna corporatize it and make money.
exactly. It's like, hey, you can spend 10 minutes with your great 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 grandmother for a small price of £4.99 a month.
Right.
It's
Yep.
like, yeah, no, I hope that there's some kind of divine intervention before that happens. Otherwise, God's never going to see his children again. They're just going to be stuck in a bloody computer.
Maybe that's what we are. Maybe we're then the reincarnation, we just come back, we come back. I'm just saying. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think this next 100 years is going to be the game changer as to what we're going to do and how we're going to end up. I'm going to
Oh,
be
well,
Mr. Nobody, though. I'm going to be the last old person just piecing out in a society of young people who are eternally young for whatever reason. I'm just, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm
please
ready. I'm
don't.
ready. When it's my time, I feel good about like going away for at least a little while. A few hundred years. Give me a break, Earth,
Yeah.
please.
Can you take me with you, please?
Yeah,
Because yeah. In fact, when I'm on the other side, right, can you put in a good word for me? Because they're probably not going to
100%.
let me in.
Yes, 100%.
Cool.
Maybe I
Thank
can
you.
be like in the group that comes to get you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. And
Yeah.
please don't take me straight to court. Just give me a few minutes to chill out first.
Okay. I don't think there's going to be a court. I feel like it's a lot different than most people think it's going to be.
Oh, that's great because I've been thinking, like, who would be my lawyer? I was thinking, I don't know. Okay, so I think we'll wrap up. But it has been so great talking to you. I'm so glad we've had the little geeky chat and made it all fun,
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, have you enjoyed yourself? I hope
I
you have.
have, yes. I've seen you for years in the comments section. We talk to each other, and I personally love to connect with the people that I've just been seeing online for all of these years. So this is just a great little moment and opportunity to kind of get to know you a bit more. So it's been fun for sure.
I really want to show you this artwork, but I've been trying. I'll see if I can share my screen because I made it for this stream. The reason why it took so long, I was trying to get it as the background, but I'm not sure if I can do that. I think I have to join the StreamYard subscription, but if
Oh,
someone could let me know that, I'm not sure. So I will do that at some point if I start to. If I start to. Right.
uploading humans to the cloud won't be possible, but the trick is they will convince millions that they can. See, I can absolutely see that. That's my thing. Well, I mean, I guess if they're not actual consciousnesses up in the cloud, then we don't have anything to worry about. But yeah,
Okay, Crystal, can you see this?
I can.
So this is what I drew for our
That is
stream.
amazing. You are so talented.
Thanks.
You are.
I had to rush it a little bit because I just had so much on the past few days. So I will try and do a better version, but yeah, I just thought it summed our characteristics up
Yeah.
perfectly. There's you being my meditation teacher, being a
Oh.
pro, and there's me just not being able to keep focus for 2 seconds, just
Wouldn't
playing
call
with my
myself a
action
pro.
figures. Just-
That's really awesome. I love that. I would love to get a copy of that, or I don't know. That's just awesome. You know, I get
well,
like there's different, you can't see the whole office, but like there's paintings and things that people send me, and like I always post them and I'll display them at different times. Like that's a painting from
mm.
one of my friends. There's another one up here. Well, you can't see it. But yeah, I love that.
Well, actually, I have sent a lady a postcard to America, which should be arriving any day now. So I should be able to send you one over if you'd like. I have got another one here, which is a bit more classical nativity kind of look to it. If I can just find it, here it is.
I think I've seen that one. Did I see that one?
Yes.
I
Oh,
think
yes. I
so.
think I sent you it in
But I
Instagram.
love that. I think that's so great.
Yeah. This is my when I'm at my best. I think. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out, and it's all just coloring pencils, really great ones.
Do you paint at all?
I gave it a go, and I just seem to be all over the place, but I do. That's what I want to do. Is I hope at some point in the near future I can just find more time to try other things. You know, I've always wanted to get into sculpting, which I did a
Mhm.
bit of. It's just finding the time to do it really, and it's having the, I suppose, the location to do it, because I don't really have a very studio-like space. You know, it's very quite cramped where I live, and like I say, I don't want to have my camera on because my background is just awful. It's just like you're just going to see this old granny house. It's like,
Well, Jack,
but
I believe in you. I think you have real talent.
oh,
I
thanks.
really
That's
do. And I feel like I feel your emotions in the things that you create. And so I hope that you never stop.
oh no, well I hope so too, and I hope that we can do this again at some point in the future.
Sure, I would love that. It's been
Awesome, and
fun.
I hope you guys have enjoyed. You know, let me know down in the comments if you've enjoyed Crystal Anne Compton, and if you, like me, would like some spiritual guidance in your life, then she is definitely a great one to have your back. So go check out her channel, Crystal Anne Compton, on YouTube, and give her all the support she
Oh,
deserves.
thank you.
Because and trust me, guys, she's genuine. She's even stopped monetization to get rid of ads, which
Hmm.
proves to me, you know, that you are someone who cares about your community and cares about your content. And yeah, that just says a lot to me that you're genuine, because I think a lot of the stigma is, oh, they're just in it for the money.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of spiritual people, they just say all this stuff to write books, and it's like, no, no, I don't get that from you. I think you're very genuine.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And actually, I stopped monetization, but I've asked a couple times if people still see ads because I worry if YouTube still puts them
Oh no,
on.
they do. They do. On my channel, I'm not even monetized, and they still put ads on my
So
videos.
are they putting ads on my videos too?
Um,
You'll
to
have
be
to check
honest,
and let me know
yeah,
because
I don't really, sometimes the last video I watched of yours, I don't think they did, but it's
oh,
random. I've noticed when I've gone back and I've watched some of my own videos, they just put an ad on there, and I'm like, "Excuse me, you're not paying me for that."
right. That's YouTube. Come
Yeah,
on,
I
get
know,
your shit
right?
together.
That'll never happen. Oh, but thanks for all of you in the comments for coming. It's been really, really appreciated, and I'm glad you've all enjoyed. And yeah, Ooh, nearly shoved the cat off the chair there. Sorry, babe. So thanks for coming, Crystal. It's been great, and thanks for all of you for tuning in. Stay safe and happy wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.
Happy holidays.